Good morning. My name is Kristen Rianne Williams, and welcome to my Week 8 Interactive Journal. So, introducing probability to students. Now, this is a tricky concept to introduce to students. They can get a bit confusing, but I think one activity that would be helpful in introducing the concept of probability is rock, paper, scissors, since rock, paper, scissors is a common game that kids play and something familiar for them to relate to. First, you divide your class into pairs, and then on an overhead projector or maybe even on the whiteboard, you will graph the wins of player A and player B. Next, you'll help students find the mean, median, and range for each set of data and compare. I would do this as a class. Again, we're introducing and getting them comfortable with it, so we want to do this guided. Next, you will do a tree diagram to determine the possible outcomes. And finally, as a class, you'll determine if the game was fair by finding probability of each player winning. The second activity is in a marble experiment that I would do as a class to introduce probability to students. You get a glass jar that contains 15 red marbles, and then you discuss with the class that if a single marble is chosen at random from the jar, what is the probability that it is red? And then you'll look at probability as a class and discuss that choosing a red marble is certain to occur since all 15 marbles in the jar are red, and this is a certain event. That can kind of get students thinking about probability. And then you would extend it by redoing the experiment with different color marbles and then further discussing probability. So implementing technology to teach probability. The first classroom implementation, that I chose was an educational video. I think that educational videos are just an easy plug into your lesson plan that is just easy for you and productive for students. And there are many great videos online to introduce students to probability that I found. I think that the visual and auditory commentary can serve as a learning tool to understand many methods. But the video that I chose is on an introduction to probability from YouTube. It was a lot of fun, so I linked that down below. The second classroom implementation for technology that I chose was a web quest. I think web quests are fun for students, and I also like the structure of the way that they're set up. Web quests allow students to work independently through a guided lesson to increase probability skills. The web quest that I chose allows students to compare theoretical and experimental probability through an experiment. And again, web quests, the structure of them make it easy to develop lesson plans for students. And then it's great for them to work independently, but you could also work through it as a group if you wanted. And the lesson that I chose was from the Scholastic Probability Lab. This lesson reinforces student understanding of theoretical probability and experimental probability by allowing students to run their own probability experiments. Students choose an experiment like rolling a dice. I think there was also a spinner and a couple other choices. And then they calculate and enter a theoretical probability. And so when we look at how this engages students, I think that students are engaged because it's a hands-on approach and offers quick feedback from the online tool. It generates results, calculates experimental probability, and records data in a matter of seconds. Students can focus on comparing experimental results rather than calculations. I think that that's one of the pros to using online tools is that it gives real-time feedback for students, and there's no lag time where they're waiting for the teacher to go around and get to them to give them that feedback. They're able to quickly get back to work and use those results to try again. It gives more class time for experimentation rather than waiting on their teacher. And a modification that I would do would be to help students organize their experiment before they get started, and also discuss the reflection questions that are found at the end of the lab rather than have the students complete the questions independently. That way you can kind of discuss it with them. So that will conclude my week 8 interactive journal. Thank you so much and have a good day.